Fox 5 and Hot 97 present Street Soldiers with Lisa Evers.
I'm so glad you're joining us for this episode of Street Soldiers on drill rap and crime. I'm your host, Lisa Evers. Drill rap is growing so fast in popularity that now major record labels are seeking out new talent for multi-million-dollar deals. As this hip-hop subgenre continues to evolve beyond gang street life, the shadow of crime still follows it. Some critics even say catching a case can be good for your career.
Baby, welcome to the party.
The late Pop Smoke's breakout hit, Welcome to the Party in 2019, brought Brooklyn drill from the streets into the mainstream and infused the gritty genre with a bona fide blockbuster party anthem. Since then, the hip-hop subgenre has emerged from the hood to the heights of streaming charts. Their videos get more popular, and they get a reputation, something community leaders, law enforcement, and some in the music industry say is the wrong message. Veteran hip-hop journalist Rob Markman says the concerns are legitimate.
We can't ignore the dangers. We can't ignore the damage that it is doing. If we talk about the good, we absolutely have to talk about the bad.
Prominent criminal defense attorney Florio represents many hip-hop and drill artists, from Tekashi 6ix9ine to Lil TJ. For Florio's client, multi-platinum artist Lil TJ, drill music gave him a way out of one of the most dangerous blocks in the Bronx and a launch pad for a thriving music career after she won 3 gun cases for him. She says aspiring drill rappers still on the streets are targeted by police and law enforcement.
They're followed, their social media is being stalked. They are subject to shows being shut down.
There is an undeniable correlation between violence and drill rap, says Ralph Cilento, a police science professor at John Jay College and former NYPD Lieutenant Commander in the Detective Division. He says police don't randomly target drill rappers, but they will start investigating if violent crimes have been committed.
When a shooting, a homicide, some other violence takes place, in investigating that violent crime, oftentimes that will lead them to the drill rapper or the group that the drill rapper associates with.
Hip-hop has a checkered past when it comes to violence. During the NYPD takedowns of gangs I reported on, detectives often told me the lyrics were used to incite actual shootings.
Artistic violence and painting pictures with your words and making amazing music. I'm from that. I know that. But that's completely different than targeted, incentivized violence around naming names, naming locations, naming people you just shot.
Many give credit for the city's drop in gang and gun violence to a special elite squad of detectives called the Gun Violence Suppression Division. I had exclusive access to their takedown, which involved the arrest in 2023 of Sheff G for being the mastermind orchestrating gang activity. I spoke with him as he prepared to do a 5-year prison term for pleading guilty to attempted murder conspiracy. The platinum and gold certified rapper, known as the godfather of Brooklyn drill, believes his success while he's been out on $1.5 million bail is showing young boys that music is a better way to go than joining a gang.
I feel like people like us have something to do with the violence going down. You know why? Because they see us, we live in life, we getting money, and we doing the things, we chasing our dreams, and we really making it happen.
Let's get into the drill rap and crime questions with our panel. Joining me is Rob Markman. He's a hip-hop journalist. Rob, great to have you with us.
Thanks for having me, Lisa.
Thank you. Also with us is Rashid LittleJohn. He's the founder and executive director of the Green Campaign and Guns for Grants. And his program asks people to turn in guns in exchange for college education and college tuition. Rashid, thank you so much for being with us.
Happy to be here once again.
We really appreciate it. Also with us is Ralph Cilento. He's a professor of police science at John Jay College. He's a former NYPD Lieutenant Commander with the NYPD Detectives. Ralph, thank you so much for being with us. We appreciate it.
Nice to see you, Lisa.
Thank you so much. Also with us is famous criminal defense attorney Florio. She's represented many rappers, some in very, very high-profile cases. Dawn, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you so much, Lisa. It's a pleasure.
We really appreciate it. Rob, I want to start with you on this. When we talk about drill rap, and especially for people who've heard the term but haven't really heard the music that much or are familiar with the artists, what are we talking about?
I mean, like so much of many facets of hip hop, trap music, or you drill rap tied to the street. Like it is absolutely a street term. It is tied to the street. It's these young artists telling their stories of the harsh realities of the things they go through, and it isn't always pretty. There's violence, there's drugs, there's opposition ops, as they call them. So, for a lot of kids, it's a way to get it off their chest. Sad part is many times, a lot of times, it gets a little too real, and instead of a way out, it becomes almost a trap that these artists can't get out of.
Don Florio, I want to ask you, because you've represented many of these artists, and there was a time very, very recently where they were banned from actually having stage shows in New York City and venues, even in festivals. The stigma, is that a stigma, or is that a fair characterization that there is a lot of crime or there's a lot of gang activity, especially with these youngest of drill rappers?
The fact that the drill rap unit, which is basically an offshoot of the hip hop police, they look at all of the artists' social media, they shut down shows, they do everything to make sure that the artist is not able to perform because they're so scared that there's going to be violence. And we have to remember that drill is a real legitimate genre that people need to embrace. And we need to understand that not all drill rappers are, violent people. They rap about their lifestyles, but of course, some, just like all regular people, some do crimes and some are very successful. And because we only hear about the famous people, we don't understand and really grasp that how 11, 12 years old, 13 years old children are actually involved in this because they look up to, these rappers who are making millions of dollars.
Rashid LittleJohn, you've been a critic of drill rap. You're out there in the communities, in the streets, and trying to take guns off the streets as well. Which comes first, the gang activity, or they get involved in gang activity after the music? Because some of the drill artists that I've interviewed have said to me, Lisa, the music is a way out, and if they have a good team around them, are really able to get out of the streets and out of that whole gang lifestyle. But how do you view it?
I think that that's a best case scenario, right? When you look at the reality, most of the drill kids don't get and break big, right? They stuck in the neighborhood. They're not touring and traveling around the world. They're online, perpetuating the violence on YouTube and on Snapchat, on Instagram. If you go to the South Bronx, you go to Brownsville, East New York, you're just seeing kids turning up on other kids, so two things can be true at the same time. There is a history of disenfranchisement, disinvestment in the urban community, but we cannot escape the fact that these kids are actually going outside and harming other kids. It has spilled into the streets where there's a cycle that's almost being incentivized by record labels, social media. There's a whole ecosystem.
Ralph Cilento, how do you view drill rap in terms of the crime question?
Well, the NYPD is not throwing darts at the wall randomly to see what will stick. Well, where Dawn was right, that they do have a robust team that looks at that. It's not done randomly. So anytime that a drill rapper is prevented from playing at festivals like Rolling Loud or Summer Jam, there's always a smoke before there's fire. So they don't just pick people at random. There is the component of social media, where I'm sure Dawn can speak to this better than I can, how many times social media clips have been used at trials where they're posting in real time. It really is like a chicken or an egg analysis, because they come from the street, then they get famous, and then they try to get out of the street. I mean, we see that with Sheff G, where he's, maturity is everything. Right? He's more mature now. So the NYPD is not randomly throwing darts at drill rappers. They are strictly doing investigations based off intelligence.
Don't go away. We'll be right back. Dawn, talk with us about evidence, because there's so many of the mature guys in hip hop. They're like, there's no snitch. I don't want to make a comment. Lisa, I'd love to talk to you, but I don't want to say anything. But the ones that are in their teens and early 20s are posting things on their social media, basically handing a case to the police kind of on a silver platter. Well, what do you see happening with that?
So I think that this all stems from a lack of education and a lack of mentorship on the part of these young people. No one has sat down and taught them that what you say on social media, what you say in your drill rap lyrics, what you do, who you associate with, is all being watched. A lot of these young people grow up without fathers, so they join the gangs, and the gangs provide them with love, support, and protection, because the streets are very, very dangerous. So what happens is that because these young artists are not educated, they really tell on themselves. They
Like self-snitching. I call it self-snitching.
and that is absolutely very difficult for me and other defense attorneys to defend when you're admitting the crime on real time.
Years ago, when I first started to interview people about drill, interview some of these artists, people would say to me, "Oh, what do you want to deal with that? That's going to be here today, gone tomorrow." Do you consider it a legitimate like subgenre or genre of hip hop?
Absolutely, it's absolutely legitimate. I mean, it's art for a lot of these kids. And I came up in the '90s. One of my favorite groups ever was Mobb Deep. Mobb Deep killed. God bless Prodigy, rest in peace.
Rest
Shout
in
to
peace.
have it. Killed 10 people on every song. You know what I'm saying? Like from artistic, so I'd be a hypocrite to start clutching my pearls now that I'm a little bit older and look down on these kids. I think one of the main differences is what Dawn says is right. The artists have to take responsibility for themselves and accountability for how they present themselves and the trouble that they get themselves into. And it starts there. But these labels are signing these artists left and right. There is no more artist development anymore. Development. There's no more mentorship. There's no one to really show a lot of these artists, hey, once you get signed, once you get on, here's how your life has to change. Here's how you have to move. But they're making the profits. The profits are coming in, but they're not investing in these kids' artists and in these kids' futures as artists.
Are we unfairly singling out these young artists?
We just celebrated 52 years of hip hop, right? When DMX came out, how many young guys in Yonkers had to die for him to be hot, right? How many guys in Queensbridge had to die for Mobb Deep, for Nas? Like, we have the history to look back and see, from the violent NWAs to the Tupac Biggies, there's a concentrated reality that realism in rap is different now. Artistic violence and painting pictures with your words and making amazing music. I'm from that. I know that. But that's completely different than targeted, incentivized violence around naming names, naming locations, naming people you just shot. So I just think that we sometimes romanticize an era before that there was crime and violence.
But there's a big difference, and Ralph, I want you to weigh in on this.
Yeah.
The big difference is back in the day when Biggie and all that whole era, and even DMX, there wasn't the social media and the going live. You're going live from your op's house. Ralph, what about this element of social media?
It's an interesting paradox, isn't it? Because their writing is from experience from the street. And if they don't tell anybody about it on social media, then no one will know about it. But if they tell everybody about it, then everyone's going to know about it, including the cops. So it's kind of this weird paradoxical, equation where they need to get the stuff out there, but in doing so, they're putting their entire lives on the internet.
My question to all of you, and I want to get a comment from each of you, is does catching a case, is that good for your career?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Oh, we're gonna disagree, Dawn. Go ahead, Dawn. I want to hear the yes, because I think
Okay,
no.
so the reason why I say yes is there's a caveat. You can catch a case because it gives a lot of social buzz, but you got to beat the case, because what good are you to a record label if you're locked up? For example, the K Flock case, he got a lot, it gives a lot of street credibility, but then now he has to do a whole bunch of time. Like, I represent Little TJ. He won 3 gun cases. So to the drill rappers, the drill community, that's like, wow, like, that's a guy who, beat these cases, and it gives absolutely credibility to them.
What are we really saying here? We want bad boy rappers, but not too bad. Wink, wink. Is that what we're saying, right?
I think
and
it's
part of the responsibility there is borne by the record companies. And this is a complaint across all music genres, not just rap. that there's no more structure in the record companies anymore. There's no more non-refundable deposits to promote the album. You don't have an agent in the record company to talk to you about your behavior and what the record company expects from you. It's like the Wild West out there. And this is good in the sense that a lot more people are being heard. And it's bad in the sense that they don't really have professional mentors.
Rob, there are a lot of people that say, well, what they call the A&R, the people that dealt with the artists, that they virtually don't exist anymore, that there aren't, and that a lot of the managers, it can be, cousin JoJo, or it can be whoever was your boy, that you've been through a lot with, that is your manager without any real experience, kind of like learn on the job as you go. Is that a fair characterization of where the music industry is now?
Yeah. The music industry changed so much. A&R stands for artist and repertoire. It doesn't mean what it used to mean. A lot of the A&Rs are handcuffs by their label heads that they got to find what the data proves, whoever is going viral the most, and not who's the most talented or who has the most promising future. The game changed so much, and I want to go back to Don's point and back to the question about, does going to jail or catching a case make you hot, but you got to beat the case.
Right.
And I would say no. Back in the 90s, Tupac had two #1 albums, or had a #1 album while he was in jail. Lil Wayne going the case, that was a big thing when the Carter 3. But the way that music moves now so fast, I just want to talk to these artists. The audience isn't loyal. That we have more music. Spotify has 100,000 songs that come out a day. So if it's not you, it's gonna be a day. So if it's not you, it's gonna be somebody else. Some of y'all are crashing out for an audience that doesn't care about you, and when you're done, they're gonna move on to the next one. So you build a real audience and try to build a real career and a real future.
I think, to what Rob just said, there's so many artists that's putting out music. We're in a different era when it comes to even how artists are introduced. Some artists get hot off of the buzz around that they shot people, right? Or they got these cases. It's completely different than if you get hot and then you got to fight a case, like Murder Was the Case with Snoop. You was already hot, but these artists and the record labels and how this incentivized aspect it's easy market. It's easy promotion. It's easy people paying attention, so they don't got to do the work of breaking the artist.
Ralph, my question for you is, as an investigator, former investigator, is it true that if you're doing dirt on the street but you haven't been charged, trust me, you're under investigation?
Most likely, particularly if you're affiliated with a group, right? Because they investigate the group and then you become identified. Even if you hadn't done anything yet or you hadn't been caught for anything, you're investigated as a member of that group. And drill rap is really all about the groups, the gangs, the subunits. So even if you're a young person, 12, 13, 14 years old, and you're affiliated with that group, sometimes it's just for your own protection, I'll admit. But you're still affiliated with that group, you're going to be investigated.
Rashid, what would you like to see happen with the public in terms of how they consume the music, especially how it impacts young people?
I mean, I think at some point record labels need to be held accountable. The money that's being flown through these industries. And I think the public in itself has to make a stand because, when you live in this reality, you see kids dying, right? And I think that's the part that kind of gets lost. We love the drill, we love the music, have a good time. But once these kids start dying, we're talking about kids under 20 years old, not even graduating from high school. And it's been a lot of them for many years. And that to me is a crisis.
Don, you did a post recently where you gave advice to some of the aspiring artists and people that were on the streets. Can you share some of that with us?
So it's very important to have a cohesive team. And this is being a rapper or a drill rapper, you cannot do it all alone. Yes, the kids have to take accountability, but the people who are making money off of those kids also need to take accountability. And it's not all about making millions of dollars. It's about getting through the process. It's about keeping these kids safe and keeping these kids alive.
Rob, a couple of quick Rob Markman tips for artists to have a real career.
Take your art seriously. This is art. Hip hop, man. When it first started, they said we were a fad. They said it would never last. They said we weren't real music. 52 years later, we're here. We're real music. Not only that, we're an over $1 billion industry. If you want to get into this game, though, take it seriously. It can take you out of your situation. If you're talented and you're an artist, work on your craft. It's valuable. You have something to say. Go out there and get it, man. Don't fall for the trap.
Thanks for joining us for this episode of Street Soldiers on drill rap and crime. You can watch it again and share it on our Fox 5 NY YouTube page and the Fox Local app. Remember, use your mind as your best weapon. I'm Lisa Evers. Let's push for peace, love, and justice for all.